Okay guys, assalamu alaikum. Here comes the quickest refutation I've had into a debate in a long while. So people say I lost the debate because I'm presupposing God exists within the framework of the Noah's debate. Basically just the framework of when I presented that brute contingencies cannot be the case when we view theism, right? He's saying my theism stance presupposes God. No, because I'm talking about within the belief of theism and why it isn't compatible with brute contingency, right? Brute contingency says that there's no explanation. I'm saying God grounds these things, therefore gives an explanation to exist because there's no explanation to how it exists. Therefore, there is a contradiction and paradoxical things if you include theism and a very much a allowed basically I'd say the Brooklyn Sorry, I fucking lost track there. So again, I'm not presupposing anything. If it's gonna be autological that we need theism to act, we need God for theism. Sorry. Basically because it's the definition or what is prescribed to the fucking word of theism. Basically, you need God, a divine creator, within the sense of theism. It's how it's defined and given its nature as a theistic position. You need God, and the reason why I'm saying it because He offers the explanation. Therefore, it's not compatible via the previous thing in which we already conjuncted as the set of premises and substance for the argumentation in general. How am I presupposing God? I'm not. I'm generally speaking within a theistic framework. I am not talking about my stance over the debate because the debate was God's existence, right? So, in that sense, in total actual sense, we need God in the first place. That's not presupposing because it's autological. And if that's the case that it's autological, I'm going off what's already presented to me to prescribe it. We need to prescribe it. That's not presupposing it's the case when it's already supposed to be the case about the debate or theism in general. So people consider me about existential theology or just like it being the existential part. No, I'm not talking about the existential part. I'm talking about the part of the hypothetical which was presented in the belief because I said, if since I'm a theist basically, and having brute contingency as a thing is going to be you know contradictory. I literally asserted that, right? And Noism tries to say nope, that's wrong. He tries to present a argumentation, right? People say I conceded that it's a logical possibility for brute contingency. I said no. I said yes to the example. People are saying this is a brute contingent thing, and I agreed to it. No, I did not agree to the example. And then I proceeded to say that it's internal to the framework, that it can be, appearing out of nowhere, right? But it still has God to ground it, therefore its existence still has an explanation. They don't actually track the fact to grant brute contingency, you're going to need, in fact, the main point of the no explanation part. If there's explanation like God, then obviously there's a contradiction. So it is not a logical possibility, and that would conflate things. And plus, he also said, if that's the case, it's logical possible since it's conceivable, this and that. No, because there's a contradiction within that part, and he's trying to put my stance into question because he's saying it's wrong, right? That's a conditional to skepticism, etc. So if he's putting that into question, questioning, what I'm saying for the hypothetical, because I presented the theistic position and the belief about it, right? And I already explained what I already said, right? And it cannot be conceivable if there's a contradiction. And not to mention, he got the definition of contingent wrong. I was talking about existential contingency, and he said that's not the definition of contingency. He was talking about possible world contingency, aka contingent truths or like contingent modal operators, or just, de re or de dicto scenarios. Those are not the same thing. Contingent as in like the term of like modal logic, you are contingent upon a world to exist, therefore that makes your nature contingent because you can only exist in so many worlds, and you have to have these worlds to exist, right? Only so many worlds can allow you to exist, right? And you cannot be the case because this other one doesn't exactly have you like this, right? So you wouldn't be contingent upon that factor, but you would be contingent upon another factor. Basically, in that sense, that's one way of prescribing it. But that's modal world semantics. He does not understand existential semantics because he also confused what we identify something as and how we prescribe a fucking definition. A definition in the first place, okay, sure, that's what you assign as like how a qualitative property to the thing, a qualitative property to how we know it, you know, that's a part of our epistemic, analyzation and discovery. That is not in the point to actually acknowledging what something would be. That's called identification. You can't even understand simple semantics or definitions versus identifications using definitions. I used existential contingency, where you're dependent upon existence. So your entire claim about modal world, you're confusing modal world semantics and contingent worlds or contingent operators with existential contingency. That means you're contingent upon an existing thing or a causal thing. That's not the same as being contingent upon a world or a contingent being, in the sense that, you can fail. It's not the same thing. It's where you basically just, are contingent upon something, your existence is contingent upon this. And again, as I already stated, it's just where something can fail and etc. etc. That's basically just modal world semantics, You're contingent upon something, but, then you're not inside other specific worlds, which only revokes you as contingent in that sense and not necessary to the set of all worlds. So the set of some worlds you would be necessary for, otherwise that's a contradiction. So in that sense, existential contingency. Yes, the modal world semantics does have the part of existential contingency, but not the full thing. And the definitions are analytically distinct by some parts. I would say that some parts are synonymous to one another, but that does not make it the same thing in conceptuality. So in that case, there's a contradiction already there. Non sequitur. Now, let's get back to the other review about the theistic, example, right? The presupposition of doom, people like to call it. The presupposition of doom. What is that? Presupposing God to allow for, because, I can't say, God is the thing. I was talking about the hypothetical as I stayed within the debate, right? So if I'm talking about the theistic position, right, and the existential part of, God necessary for in this, specific theistic position, because, again, the fucking conceivability thing is already self-refuting when you already take into what I say. And they never refuted or, went against the analogy thing. He just, said, that's what blue contingency thing is. And I said, no, that isn't, because, XYZ. The XYZ just basically, is, prescribed to be, what was that I said again? Yeah, I fucking forgot. I don't have a script for this shit. But basically, what I said is that God offers an explanation, blue contingency does not offer any explanation, You cannot have these things compatible since I'm a theist. It's contradictory under my belief. So I'm talking about my belief, and this nigga could not track this. He said my belief about that was wrong. So he put into question, my belief. It's around the 4 mark or the 5-minute mark. It's around that mark. He said I'm wrong about that. So that's him saying that my belief is wrong right there about theism, etc. You could just say, I misinterpreted this, but I'm going off his semantics, and he could have conveyed it otherwise that's just an equivocation fallacy on his part, where he could have conveyed it better, but he did not. For purposes, let's get back to the other part. If he did question my stance, okay, that doesn't directly refute my point, and he tried to, because he's saying, you need God to exist, right? Okay, that's the reason why I'm saying within a theistic framework, you need God for that. You can't deny God inside a theistic framework. That's just a contradiction. Again, so it's logically inconsistent to accept that with a theistic framework. And Tron, I had a meta discussion with him earlier. He said, it could include, my model of theism and blue contingency. No, it doesn't, because A, one offers an explanation, and 2, the other one does not, which is blue contingency. That's already paradoxical and oxymoronic. So I don't know how, you fail that badly. So please never start shit again or try and be a fucking philosopher, because most of these people don't even hear what I say. And my analogy presupposes God. No, it supposes God due to the theistic conditions. It's already supposed, it's already autological that we need God by the definition of theism, etc. Repeat it again. That's the counter towards it being a presupposition, because in that sense, it's talking about the hypothetical and the theistic explanation or explanatory power towards the theistic fucking thing. So in that case, boom, 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 boom.